Everybody, difficulties. Don't you hate technical difficulties? But since you guys like the entrance, I'm going to do it anyway. Hello again. How are you guys doing? Welcome to another episode of the Stoked Podcast. I am your host, Javon O. Stokes, aka the most opinionated man in comics, and also writer, artist, creator of Heat and Strong, and just a lot of stuff. I'm so happy to see you guys again. I know we didn't have a show last week, and I missed you guys. I was doing some traveling. Was able to go to FSK Con, which was awesome. I don't did I post? I think I posted pictures about it. So if you haven't seen the pictures, you can go to Facebook, find me on Facebook, or you can go to Visually Stoked Media on Facebook, and definitely go check those out. I had a great time. Shout out to Michael Watson for being an amazing host. Shout out to Mason Easley for basically being my Uber for the weekend. I appreciate you. I truly do. But yeah, I had an amazing time, and sold some comics, met some people. It was awesome. And then this weekend, this Sunday, I will be at Manchester Comics and Collectibles Con. I got that wrong, but I'll get that to you before the show is over. I think it starts at 10 a.m. I want to say 10 a.m., maybe 9. You know how these things do. But I will be there selling Heat, selling Strong, and saying hi to everybody. But enough about me. I want to welcome in our next guest, this is the first time we're speaking. Once I put the call out for people to jump on the show, she made it through the weeds to get here. So here we go. Our next guest is the writer creator of Path of the Pale Writer. She's a martial artist and podcaster. She started writing for a production company in 2017 in Detroit before moving to indie comics in 2022. She's also a freelance writer for Chatter Comics, giving life to other creator-owned series such as Psycho Sal and DC artist Rich Perotta's Incantesi. I'm looking forward to speaking to her, especially about the martial arts stuff. Let's give a welcome Stoked Podcast round of applause to the Laurie Calcaterra.
Woo!
I almost butchered your name. I am so bad with names every time.
It's all right, man.
And yet I get frustrated when people say my name wrong. That's just how the world works. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you being on.
Thank you for having me. I did just a whole slew of podcasts while my Kickstarter was live. So it's now nice and relaxed. Like I don't have to push as hard. I just get to come and chill and hang out and nerd out. Awesome. So I'm very happy to be here.
And there is no nerdier place than this. But congratulations on the Kickstarter.
Thank you.
I'm fully aware of how much stress and work goes into doing those campaigns. So if you were able to make it out the other side successful, that's always an achievement in my eyes.
Yes. We did the highest numbers that we have done so far. So we are growing hand over fist. We just continue. The fans continue to surprise me. And we keep getting more people to come to the Kickstarter every time we show up. So it's a good time. Look, it's John Westhoff.
Okay,
is it
what's
the bear?
up, John? Is the bear,
Hello, John.
Bear, Devil Horn. What's going on?
The rock and roll bear. That's what.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, it's funny, and we'll get into a lot of stuff. But since you brought up, how people are coming to Kickstarters, I find it funny. There's kind of a hubbub over the last 2 days about comic books and the viability of the industry, and there was the article talking about how comics are dying and yada yada yada, and then everybody comes out and they say, oh, comics are not dying, and it's everybody yelling at each other. And then I just read Eric Larson. He made a very extensive post, and I 100% agree with what he said. Comics are never really dying, they just evolve. And the ways that we are used to getting comics before might not be as viable as before, and Kickstarter is a big part of that.
Yes.
And between I know a lot of people, between Kickstarter and Comic Cons, that's how they do their business. They don't even try and get in the stores. um,
Um, I've looked at some distributing deals. There's not very much money to be made. Brad, you were right. Comic books better not die. They're not going to. Javon, is it
I'll be
Javon?
Javon.
Jav Javon, yeah.
Javon.
Javon,
Yeah.
excuse me, is
Javon.
correct.
Yep.
They're just going to evolve as any good medium does. You know what I
Right.
mean? Our
Right.
TV has gone from channels in black and white to color to cable to streaming.
Yep.
Um, it's going to continue to evolve that way for comics too. There is no going away from comics. These are where all your new independent thoughts are coming from. And you're going to see a lot. I mean, we have in the past too, where all these independent ideas then get turned into mainstream and then become our favorite TV shows
Yep.
and other movies and other things that we consume. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh
Comic
yeah.
books is the start of all those brand new ideas.
Absolutely. And one of the things uh, I always like to think about is, I remember people saying comics were dying, and I'm aging myself, but
Oh.
back when the bubble burst, the speculators bubble burst with in the 90s.
In the 90s, yeah,
Yeah,
Marvel and DC bubble burst.
right. Like all the, because it was literally the same thing, the variant covers and
Mhm,
this and that and that. And then they were saying the comics were going to die then. And we're in 2024. We're all still buying comics. It's just
mhm,
different. The indie
yeah,
market is substantially different
yes.
than back then. And even, 20 years before that. So,
Um, I think it's a good and a bad thing. I think that, Kickstarter and crowdfunding lets someone like myself, get our book started without having a big publisher approve. I don't
mhm.
have to sell my soul. I don't have to give up rights or creative rights, of my story in order to start getting, building my fan base. The other thing is that everybody can make a comic book, and it saturates the market. So
Yeah.
that's the hardest part as a creator, is to set yourself apart from the masses and, have return customers and do something different, so
Yeah.
that way you make waves. There's a lot of good stuff out there,
There,
but there's just a
absolutely.
lot of good stuff out there.
Right, right. Well, and then, there's also a lot of stuff out there.
There's a lot of stuff out there,
There's a
yeah.
lot
I
of
mean,
stuff, I'm not gonna say bad. I'm just gonna say
no.
stuff.
Maybe it
Uh,
needs to be refined. Maybe someone is still finding their stride or learning a technique. There's stuff out there that's no story. It's just boobs. I mean, I just looked at it, Kickstarter. I'm a podcaster, and they asked if they could come on my show. And I was like, I don't think this fits my image. Sorry.
yeah,
But
right.
they made like 30 grand on Kickstarter. Boobs.
Off of boobs.
Hmm. So,
Somebody asked me about doing that, because I have my female superhero Strong, and they're
mhm.
like, you know,
Where's the eye candy?
when are you gonna do a nude cover? Somebody asked me that recently. When am I gonna do a nude cover for her? And I was like, dude, I want little kids to buy this, man.
Right.
Like, that's
Like,
not how I, yeah,
no,
like, one of the
no.
reasons people buy this book especially is, my superhero is one of the very few female characters that is almost completely covered up, like almost
See?
completely covered up. And I did that for a reason. But
Right.
yeah, I'm totally with you. It's funny, somebody made the point. They were talking about the music industry, and they
Mhm.
were talking about how now anybody can be,
Same
gain a
thing.
following and make music. And I said, it's
Yeah.
the same thing, but the way they put it was, before, when you went to a label, you had to be curated. You had to be,
Yes.
like, basically worked through before your product came out. So that's why so that the way they were framing it is, that's why the music was better
That's
back
a
then,
no.
because you had to, you well, a lot of people, you had to work on your craft. um you know what I mean? Like, you had to
Yeah.
work work on it before you get a record deal. Like, it was harder to get a
It's
record deal.
yes,
It was so much harder. And so the people that got record deals were really, really good. Whereas
right?
now you can literally just make music and then just put it out there. And
Right.
then so you don't really have, I'm not saying you have to work as hard, but it's
But
the
you
lack
don't.
of attention to the craft. And I feel like it's the same thing with comics. There
Yes.
are a lot of people who put out stuff who don't
Yes.
learn about the craft of making a comic book. And so their
There is
stuff,
that.
so it doesn't, it's not as good as it could be.
Mhm.
And that's where, editors are great,
Oh,
and
editors. Absolutely.
learning, frankly, just learning about what you're doing before you do it.
Right. Everybody should strive to produce the best version of their product possible. And I feel learning, even between when we were at issue number 1 and where we are now making issue number 4, you can see a difference in our progress.
Absolutely.
That's normal with indie. And eventually you do what we did where we get far enough along and then it's time to redo issue number 1,
See,
which is what we're
I've
doing.
been thinking about doing that because
Mhm.
I sell mine's in a trade now. Like, my number one
Yes.
is part of a trade. And so I've been thinking about going back and redoing it because I hate looking at my first issue. Um,
Everybody does.
I hate it.
Everybody kinda has that cringe, like, "Oh, man, I wish I
Yeah.
would have done this differently."
But
We're
I don't know if I
actually
want to go back and do it though.
that's the
Like,
thing,
what's
is
the
that it
value?
takes
Where do you see the
time.
value in doing that?
Well, for us, um, our series was always meant to be in color. And our
Mm.
issue number 1, was black and white, and
Okay, okay.
because of what we were able to afford at the time, and then, of course, as we grew our audience, we went into, color, right? So issue 2, 3, and 4 are gonna be in color. So, we will be doing a trade paperback after 4,
Okay.
and we, went back, my colorist colored issue number 1. We brought on a colorist in addition to my main artist. So we picked him up with issue number 3. So he's doing issue number 3, issue number 4, and he's actually gone back and redone issue number 1 in color. And then I relettered as well because I have my own particular style and I was still trying to find my way at issue number 1. So it ties everything together, and it will be the first time that the readers get to see issue 1 in color in the
Mm.
trade. So it kind of makes it
Okay.
cohesive as opposed to like 24 pages of black and white and then picking up in color in the trade paperback.
Okay. So now
So
that makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah.
I was thinking of doing it like, I have an idea of what the book is now,
Yes.
and I would love to kind of go back and write it with knowing what I know now. You know what I mean? Like, it would be really cool to do something like that, but I might do it like for because I think the 2025 will be 10 years that
Wow.
I've since Heat number 1. It
Wow,
will be
10
10 years.
years.
10 years. I think if I'm not mistaken, the first book came out in 2015.
Thank you, Rick, by the way.
Um, but yeah, the first one came out in 2015. So I was like, it'd be really cool for like, to go back and just redo the first one through the
Mhm.
lens, like showing how much I got better. And then, I can then redo another trade with that. But then it would look herky jerky because you can see the progression of my art,
Yeah, but that's
how I get better.
That's normal, and I mean, like, talk about Walking Dead. I have the omnibus of all of them, right? And you can
Hmm.
see the progression from the
Oh
first
yeah. Oh
page of
yeah.
one, and it continues to improve because that's how
Absolutely.
artists are. So, it's just part of the progression, I think, and
All
people
right.
are accustomed to that, and I think they're accepting of that. Um, it always ends up I wanna say growing its own legs, like taking on a life of its own, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Even for the first few issues, sometimes main characters, protagonists, evolve into
Right.
what they're meant to be. So, I think it's fine. How
Okay.
many issues are in your trade paperback?
So the first 3 issues, I had a 3 issue miniseries, and then I
Mhm.
did a 70 page graphic novel.
Okay.
And so I used to bind the first 3 books together, and then I had the graphic novel, and I would sell the first 3 issues in the graphic novel. But I had to look at it from a business point of view, because after a while I would sell a lot of the first 3 issue trade, but
Mhm.
not as many of the graphic novel. People would like, oh, I'll try this, and then if I like it, I'll come back and I'll get the graphic novel. And so I would have to keep buying issues number 1, but I'd have
Mhm.
like a whole bunch of the graphic novels. So I said, well,
Interesting.
I think it was after a year and maybe almost a year and a half, I said, you know what? I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting money and time here. Why don't I just put them together? I
Mhm.
spend less money on 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 um on printing, and then people get 2 full complete stories in the graphic novel. And then, plus I threw some extras in the back,
Of
like some
course.
sketches and stuff like that. And frankly, it's done really well. I mean, I think I started selling them last year, and I want to say I've sold probably close to 250, 300 copies
Yep.
in
Yep.
that span of time.
Mhm.
Some trade, some cons I do really well with them. Like, I might sell like 15, 20 at a con at $30 a
Mhm.
pop.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so what I'm going to do now is
Hashtag life goals.
huh? What'd you
I said
say?
hashtag life goals.
Oh, that's, oh,
I would like to do this as well. I'm just we're gonna do my series is 12 issues long, so we're doing three trades. So four,
okay.
4, and
Okay.
4.
Right.
Because it's
Right.
actually when I wrote the script for Path of the Pale Rider, it was actually a full-length movie. So
Ah,
we have like a act 1, act 2, and an act 3 in the overall
ah,
12 issue
nice.
arc.
Nice.
So those 4 first issues is kind of like act 1. So it makes sense to stop there and do a trade. So that's why
Now, are
that's
you gonna
happening.
like keep the numbering, or are you gonna like once you're done with that first sequence, renumber and start from number 1
Oh
again?
no, we're keeping the numbering. So it's
All
1
right,
through
awesome.
12. There's going to be 36 total.
Ah,
In Path of the Pale Rider is the plan.
okay.
There is an ending. I've already written the ending. Well, it's in my head. I haven't put it on paper, but there is an ending that we're working towards. So as we continue through the story, there is always intent behind each issue. We don't have fluff. We don't have filler.
Right,
Um,
right.
I hate that crap. So
I don't think indie
always going.
books can afford to do filler.
Some
Really?
do. I don't know. I don't
Really?
know, man.
I don't think I've
Sometimes I'm
encountered
reading this
one.
and I'm just like, why am I don't care, you know.
Well, so this has been very, very good way to start. Normally I like stop it, but this is great conversation. But I am going to stop it because I always have to start. We're gonna go back. We're gonna talk
Okay.
about Path of the Pale Rider. But first, when did your love of comics begin?
I was probably a late bloomer in college. And this was around the time like Image was just conceived, right? So I
Hmm.
mean, I had
Hmm.
read a few things like DC Comics, like Killing Joke and
Hmm. Hmm.
Batman stuff, and then of course the Watchmen. That one really I think was influential. But when Image Comics came around, and it was like Walking Dead, Invincible, East of West, Saga, we really fell into comics very strongly. Like I'm talking about we, I mean my husband and I, because
Okay.
he's the one and it's like that was when you could just digitally download, and that was just too easy. It was every Tuesday, the stuff that you're reading, you push a button and it's on your phone. And we would, oh, did you read this? Oh my gosh, and the Walking Dead was still going. This was right when the TV show was coming out. So we were ahead in the
Okay.
story and we were able to like read new issues as they came out. It's like the stuff that happened with Glenn came out, and then like when we caught up in the TV show, and it's like, oh my god, what are they gonna do? Yeah, that's when I started reading and really enjoying that medium. I never imagined that I would be writing comics at that time. It was just something I was consuming and enjoying.
Hmm.
The thing that started all this was martial arts. It's
Okay.
weird. I've been studying martial arts since 1997.
Okay.
And I practice Filipino and Indonesian martial arts. They're all very weapons heavy. So
Okay.
sticks, knives, machetes. anything that's sharp and pointy.
Mm.
Yes, that's where I thrive.
So you're like, are you designated a lethal weapon? Did you have to get your? Did you get? Okay.
We're not registering. Thank you.
Uh,
Can I hold my own? Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
sounds like it. I'm a little terrified. I'll be on your good side today.
People are mostly unaware, from my appearance, what I'm capable of doing, and that's how I like to keep it. Always keep them guessing.
I wish I kept
essential.
going with martial arts. I really do wish. I did it when I was in elementary school, and I enjoyed it.
Oh.
But I think I went to middle school because I stopped. Yeah, I stopped in the 6th grade, and I went to middle school, and they didn't have it at the school. And I was so consumed with, okay, now I'm in middle school, that it just kind of went over my head. And,
Yeah.
when I hit like college, I was like, man, I really wish I would have kept going. And I just never got back into it. But
Well, I was a junior, and it was the summer after I was a junior in high school. So as a young woman, I was looking to take some self-defense. I had messaged or called and left a message because, again, this is before cell phones. I'm old too.
well, I was gonna say you were talking about when Image first started, and in my mind,
I'm old.
I went like Image, like Youngblood and Spawn, but then you said Walking Dead, and I was like, oh.
It was not right at the beginning, right? It was like, it was still
thought.
fresh.
What?
No, I was reading comics at that time, but like I wasn't really reading Spawn. I think the cartoon was out at that time. I think I watched the cartoon at, one of the late night cartoon ones, because obviously it was not meant for kids. Yeah.
I was watching that as well.
So anyway, but martial arts, I started when I was 17. I kind of touched, I went in real hard. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like my people. I don't know. I thrive there.
Okay.
It's like a chess game to me. I'm always trying to think 3 moves ahead. I'm super interested in body mechanics and pressure points and how to be a smarter fighter, how to use distance to my advantage. Because obviously, as a woman, I can't hit as hard as a man. I'm a lot of times I'm at a disadvantage with height and strength and weight. So things that are sport won't work for me as actual self-defense, right?
Okay.
Because again, if you're fighting strength against strength, I'm going to lose.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So with a weapon, though, I am now an equal.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Or at least understanding a weapon, I understand how someone is going to attack me.
Okay.
If someone is trained in a weapon style, I know what they're going to do because I do it myself.
Okay.
I can tell by what stance someone is standing off what martial art they practice. So again, using that to my advantage, giving them no information. I could nerd out about martial arts for a long
listening.
time.
I'm just listening.
So anyway, I digress.
That was nice.
When I was an adult, I got involved with the production company Coattail Collective.
Okay.
This was about 2016, and I was choreographing myself and a team. We were choreographing fight scenes for like music videos, short films, etc. And then we decided to do our own kind of short film. I wrote something very action heavy, like very little plot. I wasn't really going for writing at that point.
Right.
I was just doing something to showcase, like, we can do a wall run, we can do a gun disarm, we can do an extended knife fight. This guy, we switch people out and locks and running people over with cars. And, we had all sorts of cool stuff shoved into a 7-minute video. And that was going to be like our resume, our calling card, our business card. If you want to see what Trinity 60 can do, watch this video. We're not actors. Okay. We're going to claim that.
Yeah.
But the production company was like, this has potential to be other things. Have you thought about writing other things? And I was like, no, but I think I want to try. And they were super supportive. They were like, see what you can do with like a web series, a short form web series. So like 5-10 minute web episode drama. and they would all be produced by Coattail, and so there was a bunch of different showrunners, and we would all have our shows on one YouTube channel so that we would share kind of the views and the monetization, right? That was the idea. I wrote this series called The Agency. I wrote 2 6-episode series, seasons, I guess. We were able to film the pilot for the first one, and then when we were getting ready to do reshoots, my family had relocated from Michigan to Texas. So that kind of just all got done, right? There's no way I could go back for reshoots. There's no way I could come in, to continue the whole thing just because it was going to be cost prohibitive.
Right.
So, but I had gotten the writing bug.
Okay.
At that point, because I love The Agency and I would love to see that as a comic book or whatever, because that one has legs too. So I actually wrote that one first before I had the idea for Path of the Pale Rider.
Okay.
Which I started writing in 2018, and I finished it probably 2019. It was right before the pandemic it was done.
Okay.
And then the pandemic happened.
Yes, it did.
And it was like, oh God. Lots of can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
lots of
listening. Can you hear me?
Lots of sleepless nights, lots of time, typing on the computer, letting people read the script. And then it was like, what are you gonna do with this, Laurie? And I was like, I don't know. It's a full-length movie, like I said, and people were kind of pushing me towards Netflix, and I wasn't confident enough to do that. Anybody who knows anything about production, it's like when you talk about pitching to Netflix, it's like that's in the big leagues, and I didn't feel I was there yet. My husband read the comic, and it was him who was like, hey, you know what? I think this could be told as a comic book series. And I was like, you are right, sir. So 20 is when we decided we were going to start moving in that direction. And then again, it's like, how do you do that? So I had to learn from scratch from there. And I had a couple other artists involved, and everything kind of fell apart during the pandemic. And I wasn't sure I was going to continue because I had already shelled out, I don't know, hundreds of dollars, and wasn't going anywhere. So it was like, okay, well, if this is going to happen, I have to wait and be patient. And maybe it just wasn't the right time for it. And January of 2022, I met Marco DeFio in a Facebook group called Connecting Comic Book Artists and Writers.
Is that Facebook group still around? Because
it is. It's there.
I'm going to do that while you talk.
Yes. Seriously, go check it out. Join the group. There's a ton of artists in there. They're very willing to send you a portfolio. What's that?
Connecting comic books?
Connecting comic book artists and writers, I believe.
Oh, there you go. I'm going to join this right now.
Yeah, I'm in there.
3 of them.
Yep.
Yeah, right. There we go.
But I think I had put out a post and he didn't see it. And then he put out a post and I saw his work and I approached him. And we talked through the story. We talked about his style and what we wanted to do. And we both were in agreement and signed a contract. And there it is. He drew concept art of Jude St. Clair, our cowboy. And I fell in love with it. I was like, that's it. That's my character. And we started going from there. We self-published issue number 1 in July 2022. We did 2 books in 2022, and this will be our second one in 2023. So we are on issue 4 at this point. So 1, 2, 3 are already published. Issue number 4 is in the works. And we
started all of them. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, and we kickstarted all of them, so you can feel my pain.
I have no idea where I'm hearing hold on. I'm gonna have to stop this. All right, let's see if this works. All right. Hello?
Can you hear me?
I have an echo.
Oh no.
Is that me? Who's echoing? I don't know why that is.
I don't hear it.
Okay.
I don't hear an echo. So
we'll make it work. So give us the elevator pitch for the pale Path of the Pale Rider.
Okay. So Path of the Pale Rider is a Western apocalypse series where death has been broken. So your body can die, but your soul or energy doesn't leave your body upon death.
Okay.
Meaning you are undead, you are a zombie per se, but you're not a flesh-eating zombie. You're not craving brains. It's just you. It's
Okay.
me. It's your neighbor, your mom. But as your body and mind decay, you get forgetful. You can get violent. You can become vegetative. You can just stop caring. You can lose your humanity.
Wow.
So to me, it's terrifying to be trapped in a decaying body and to, in the beginning, understand what you're in for, and then very quickly devolve into this chaotic state. The other thing about Path of the Pale Rider is that it's not just people, it's animals, insects, fish. Nothing can die correctly anymore.
Everything.
Everything. Death is broken.
Wow. Death is broken. I
So
like that. Death is broken. That's a great hook.
death is broken. There is
That
no
is a
death,
great hook.
only decay. That is our hook.
So you just
So
decay and decay and decay and decay
So
and
until you're a
wow.
pile of bones or a pile of ash, but you are still with us. You don't get to
Wow.
rest. You don't get to transition. There is nothing you can do to leave. Um,
Now, is
so
there a
in this
reason
world,
for this?
oh yeah, of course there's a
Or
reason.
is that the
I'm not
big
going to tell you.
mystery? Okay, all right, all right.
No,
Well,
that's the
I
whole
don't never
premise
know.
of the story. So what's going on is that Jude St. Clair, we start the story 10 years into the apocalypse, and things have devolved back to the Wild West. And he's kind of like the last cowboy still looking for the answer. He's the guy that everybody else has kind of moved on and is just kind of trying to get by in their life or unlife. And Jude is determined to find the answer. So he is wandering the wasteland. He is following conspiracy theories. You get to see the fall. You get to see the famine, the the riots, the government overstep, and you get to see everything burn down. Um, it's number 4 is really hard for Jude. It shows his trauma and it shows what pushes him out the door, from being a young man and living with his parents to going out into the world and becoming that kind of grizzled cowboy that we see in the beginning. But he's gonna hopefully find it, the answer. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, and if you, this is how I always describe the story. If you like things like Book of Eli, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Walking Dead, and Cocaine Bear,
Cocaine bear.
mhm,
It's
that
like
is Path of the Pale
which one
Rider.
of these doesn't fit?
All of them fit. Let me tell
I,
you, that is Path of the Pale Rider. In issue number 1, Jude St. Clair is on the road and he comes across a carcass, or you think it's a carcass, of a giant bear. And it stands up. He wakes it up, and it's a bad day for him and his horse. The bear's name is Big James. He's actually one of our fan favorites. So you will see a ton of Big James related merchandise, hats, shirts, anything that I can make Big James people love. They just want Big James stuff.
okay, Worthy Chaos.
Mhm.
They were on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Heck yeah, Carissa's my bestie. We're starting a rumor that
Okay.
we're related. We're not, but
Okay, okay, okay.
um
I'll keep that rumor going.
we unlocked quite a few stretch goals. So we unlocked koozies. We're building a poker deck. Um, oh, these are patches that we had from the first campaign that I found 12 of them. I still had 12. And so I put them up on the Kickstarter if people wanted some history. This is I love this stretch goal. This is always the first stretch goal that we unlock, which is a indie PDF bundle.
Yes.
So, you know, you not only get Path of the Pale Rider, you get an additional 15 comics with Path of
Wow.
the Pale Rider. Yeah. And I love it because PDF goes to not only physical backers, but to digital backers as well. So
Okay.
I have backers from Australia and Germany, India, and the UK, and they get that stretch goal as well.
There was a what's the name of it? There was a TV show that this reminds me of. Um, oh, what is the name of it? It was from like Doctor Who, something with
Oh,
that.
really?
It's called something Day, Miracle Day.
Miracle
Uh,
Dead. Interesting.
Miracle Day by what was the
Miracle Day?
spinoff from Doctor Who?
I don't know. That's one
Ah,
fandom I'm not a part of.
I'm not either, but I came across I don't even know Torchwood. That's it.
Okay.
Torchwood. You should watch it.
All right.
It's basically one day that occurs where people stop dying.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, it's kind of the same thing, but it's more like it deals more in like a pretty specific time frame. So like where
Mm-hmm.
your project sounds like it's like after this is like immediate, like you see
Yeah.
the first, you know.
Well, issue 1 and 2 are in the after.
Okay.
Issue number 3, we actually jumped back in time, and you got to see the day that Death went missing. So you got to
Okay.
see from Jude St. Clair's point of view, what it was like when Death broke and the confusion. And he was an EMT. So from the hospital's point of view, what do they do when people are clearly not
Dead.
alive, but they're still sitting there talking to you? You know,
Okay. All right.
what do you do
That's
with them?
awesome. But yeah, check it out. Torchwood. I thought
Mhm.
it was such a cool
That's cool.
yeah. But it's like I don't watch Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I stumbled upon it, but it was like one day where you ever like this doesn't happen as much anymore with people because I know we have so many streaming services and
Mhm.
stuff, but I was just flipping channels and then I came across it on TV and I just happened to come across the first episode.
Oh, nice.
Like that doesn't happen often, but it was like the
No.
first episode and they were doing the whole series all
Nice.
day. So my day was shot because after that hook, I was like,
We're just gonna
so
sit here all
yeah,
day
we're
and
just
watch
gonna sit
this.
here all day. Um, so who are your favorite like comic book creators? Like who are the people who when they put something out, you gotta read it?
Kirkman for sure. I've read most of his things. And then another one I'm a big fan of is East of West. And like
I've heard about that.
oh my gosh, you gotta read East of
I
West.
you know, I'll be honest with you. I was at my
Jonathan Hickman.
Jonathan Hick, I will read pretty much anything Hickman does. I
Mm-hmm.
was at my bookstore and I was looking through the indie trades and I was like, man, I want to read something different. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because lately I've kind of I haven't read as much, Marvel and DC. Um, and it's probably a byproduct of me being indie now. So I'm
Yes.
looking for more indie stuff. Uh,
Same.
yeah, so I ended up picking up something else instead of it, but I was like, I gotta come back and get it.
Oh, this is an amazing, and this is highly influential to my work as well because it's about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The title, Path of the Pale Rider, is speaking
Right.
to
Yeah.
Westerns, of
Yep.
course, because Clint Eastwood and Pale Rider, but also
Mm-hmm.
the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The book of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Revelation states, um, he who rode in on a pale horse,
Yep.
his name is Death, and hell followed behind him. So the path of the Pale Rider is really in the title telling you it's like the path of death. Where is death? Death is missing, death is broken,
Okay.
right? And then this story, it's about the apocalypse, and it's like I love the setting though. It's in a future from it'd be like if the Civil War happened, but it had a very different outcome where they just split up the United States into different territories.
Mm.
So there's still the Confederacy. There's the Chinese Republic took over California. There's like Louisiana became what is it
Don't
called?
tell me. I'm gonna
Free
read it. I'm
states.
gonna read it.
No,
It's
it's
on
just
my list.
it's but it's in the future of that. So
Okay.
we're in the future of that, outcome of the Civil War. And then the apocalypse happens and the four horsemen wake up and death is missing from there. You get to see death very quickly. So you get to see the four horsemen and how they interact. I can't even, I'm not going to tell you. You just need
Okay,
to go read it.
I'm gonna go
But
read it. I'm gonna
it's
go read it.
amazing. It's
Okay,
amazing.
all
Look at
right. Enough people have told me. I know I've seen the artwork. I've seen it. Like I've seen it here and there. I just haven't, picked it up yet. Cause
uh,
usually I get in like a completist mind frame.
yeah.
So if I start a book, like I'm still trying to finish up the Immortal Hulk.
I feel you. I'm
Which
that
I
way
love
too.
the
I'm like, I
Immortal
can't
Hulk.
start a new one. I haven't finished yet.
Right. I just started picking up the trades for Astro City.
Oh, nice.
They've got the completed trades, and I was like, okay, I'm there for it. It is awesome.
It's a
Ah,
beautiful book. It is
okay.
so well written. Um, I mean, if you need to binge it, you could even probably download it. It's just
I'm still
amazing.
not there yet. I know comics is so much easy to get, digitally, but
It
I need
isn't, but it's like you lose some of the right. If you want the
right. I need the
tactile, like
feel. Yes.
feel, touch, smell,
Yes.
all of that, to me, it goes
Yes.
into. So I do both. I will a lot of times read it digitally because I really want to know what's going on in the story.
Right.
So I can just consume, and then if I enjoy it, then I'm gonna go. Like for this, the same thing. Like I went and bought it. You know what I mean? I will put my dollars where my mouth is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because if I
Absolutely.
like it, I'm
Absolutely.
gonna put it on my shelf too. Like I
Oh
have
yeah.
all the Invincibles, we have all the Walking Deads,
I
we
don't
have
have
all the
all of them yet.
Fables.
I don't have
What's
all the
that?
Invincibles yet, but I
Oh,
have the individual issues.
oh, good lord.
Well, I got into Invincible a little bit after the Omni-Man reveal.
Okay.
I just again, I every now and again I get into a mood where if I see something and I'll be like, let me check that out. And so I picked up Invincible and I was hooked from I bought every single
Yeah.
issue from that point, and then I went backwards and picked up the trades of the issues that I
Mhm.
didn't have. So
Gotcha.
now I have the individual issues, but they're all like they're somewhere. I don't even know where my books are. They're in the basement
Mm,
somewhere. So now what
cool.
I've been doing for my collections, I've been buying trades of individual issues that I have, stories that I have. Like I got, I'm a big Nightwing fan. So
Mhm.
I have every issue of the Chuck Dixon and Scott McDaniel run or the Chuck Dixon run. And so
Can I
I've been
tell you,
picking up the trades.
I had Chuck Dixon on my show.
I've heard things about him. Um, yeah.
He's a great interview if you wanna talk to someone about writing. You
Okay.
don't have to bring up the drama.
Okay.
I didn't. My show was very non-political and non-drama. I was solely interested on talking to him
He's a
about his
fantastic
writing.
writer. He's a
Fantastic
fantastic
writer,
writer.
his method, his history, all of that. He's really interesting to talk to. Just don't cater to the
Well,
politics.
it's kind of hard for me to because as much as it's one of those like don't meet your heroes deals,
Ah,
you know what I mean?
that
So I'm
that I
like,
mean,
I'd prefer to just not like if I were to meet him in a con, I would speak to him
uh
and say thank you. I enjoy your writing,
yeah.
but I don't know if I have it within me to not talk about
Ah, see,
to
I
not
do, and he was super respectful. I had no problems with him on my
right.
show.
Oh, I'm
And
pretty sure he's not. From my understanding, he's not Ethan Van Sciver,
no, he's
but
not.
and that's another guy. I used to love his work. I have I have his work on my bookshelf, and
Yeah.
like it just makes it like I can't even like it. It's really hard like to go back and read it now because everything is kind of tainted. But
I don't
every
buy
now
into
and again,
any of
it
that stuff. I just write
sometimes,
my own comic.
sometimes, sometimes,
Honestly,
right, right.
I hate the politics and I hate the drama. I just wanna
Well,
talk good comics.
it's as much as I do hate the drama, it can affect me personally,
Yeah.
because some of these individuals don't like me. and they've never met me, but who I am and parts of me they don't like. So
I'm there too. I
right,
mean,
you know,
Carissa
so
Grant and I were well, she was on a show, and the topic of discussion was, "Do women belong in comics?"
mm,
Apparently,
mm,
that's still being debated.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And, it's funny.
what
I was just doing a panel.
if
Excuse me. I was just doing a panel where I was talking about. I've been looking for a woman of color to do my book, Strong, and how like so difficult it is to find one, because I know a lot of women get pushed out of comics, and they get pushed out of collecting, they get pushed out of the industry, and so and
Mhm.
they'll take their art and they'll go and do like fantastic stuff elsewhere instead of the comic book industry better. We lose to video games and all these other industries that might not be as toxic as comics can be. So I'm always happy to give a platform for, especially here, for women to come on and talk. I love talking comics. It don't matter who
Thank
I'm
you.
talking with.
I know. I'm like, why is this even a question? I was
I,
like, if people write good comics, let them write. If people
well,
draw great comics, let them draw. Who cares?
I've never looked at comics as like a boys thing though. Like I've never
Oh,
looked
but
at
it
it as
totally
like,
is.
I know
It
it's a, and
totally
I know
is.
it's like a guys club. Like I understand, but it's one of those things where I grew up in a time where like I was like the only dude that liked comics in my class, or that openly acknowledged that I
Acknowledge
like
it. That's
comics
different.
in my
Yeah.
class. And so, and like now I see guys that I went to school with and they're like, yeah, I liked comics too. And I was like, well, where the hell were you when I was getting my ass kicked? Because because I like
He was
comics. Like
pretending he
you were
wasn't
over
there.
there. Yeah. So
Yeah.
um so I was very like in my own bubble about things in the industry. Like I didn't know, there was this, like these issues going on. For me, it was like I pick up my comics, and it wasn't until I started reading Wizard magazine
Mhm.
that like I started to get a sense of what was going on in the industry. And then like I do think that the toxic nature of comics has probably always been there, but people have more voice now. Like the same people who are speaking up about how much they dislike women being a part of the industry, they probably felt that way 15,
Mhm.
20 years ago. They just don't have, tablets and stuff and to get on and
Right.
spout their nonsense.
Right. You know what though?
That's good. I am happy. I am quick to I am generally quick to tell somebody, come on now, like don't do that.
I don't
Um
care. I mean, for one thing, martial arts is very much a boys' club.
I I believe it.
And if I've been in martial arts for, I don't know, 20 some odd years. Ooh,
Hmm.
yeah. Maybe
Wow.
try I don't wanna do the math.
Don't do
It's
the
been a
math.
long
It's
time.
okay. Do
It's
the
been
math.
over
Do
2
the math.
decades where I've
Okay.
been able to hold my own and have a respectable reputation as an instructor and a fighter. Um, I can come into you know what I mean? Like, if I can do that in martial arts, I can do
Right.
that in comics. And people can have their opinion of me, and it doesn't affect me. I'm just gonna move on. I'm gonna keep doing my thing. Um, my artist and I are having fun. We're gonna
Good,
continue
good.
doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
eh.
and I'm glad you feel that way. At least on my end, I'm quick to tell people, hey man, that's stupid. Like what you just
Yeah.
said was dumb. Um,
Yeah.
like especially because you have so many people talking about woke this and woke that. When if I'm talking to somebody about comics and they say woke, I'm like, all right, this conversation's done.
I
Like
just changed the subject. I do that on my show as well. As soon as someone brings up politics, I change the subject.
I don't mind talking politics. I don't like talking stupid.
I don't
Because
wanna
then
talk on my
nobody wins.
show
Nobody
because I
wins.
don't wanna argue with anybody.
Well, I have the moniker the most opinionated man in comics, so
But I
that
mean, if
tends to
that's what
happen.
you do it. And I
Well,
mean,
not
like,
on
the
this
show
show. Not on this show. On this show, it's
this period.
it's good vibe. Yeah, there's not many debates on this show unless somebody's actively trying to debate with me.
Yeah.
And sometimes people do. Like sometimes people just like debating with me. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But my other show, Top Five Live, that's where all the arguing and the debating is. We
Well,
do
I
it
mean, if
all
you're
there.
debating, like, qualities of a movie or qualities of a comic or media, like, I can debate there too, but I'm not gonna debate politics with anybody, especially because everybody's so entrenched in their own belief
Yeah.
and like, um, this isn't the place to do it for me. It's like,
I probably don't debate politics either when I
yeah.
think about it. But if I can, if I need to, but mostly it's arguing about this movie
Oh,
is better than this
right,
movie and which
right,
Marvel movie isn't good or
right.
whatever. By the
Or
way,
like, what
I'm trying to go
episode of
I'm trying to go see the
uh,
Marvels tonight. I really want to see it.
you're gonna go see the Marvels? I'm
I'm
not.
gonna try. What? What?
I'm not interested at all.
Why?
I don't know. I don't think they were marketing it well, because I really have no idea what the movie's about. I haven't seen a ton of trailers for it. The trailer I saw today was like, "Miss Marvel returns in the Marvels today," and I was like,
You
"Okay."
didn't like the Marvels, the Miss Marvel TV show?
I I liked Miss Marvel. I liked, um, Captain Marvel movie. I liked all of them, but I have just no idea what they're doing in this
Fair
movie.
enough. Fair
See what I
enough.
mean? Like, I think their marketing has just become lazy. And a lot of times, like, if I don't see a trailer and I'm hyped about the trailer, then I'll just wait until it comes out on streaming, or I'll wait at least until people go see it. Because, like, being a podcaster, we all know, like, people that will go see it day of and give a review of
Right.
it. And there's people that I know I kind of align my likes
Fair
with.
enough.
So if they come on and they stream and they're like, "Nah, you could miss it or catch it on stream," I'm like, "Pff, I'll catch it on stream."
Fair enough.
Because I'm busy. I have 2 kids. I usually get to see maybe 1 movie a month with my
Fair
husband
enough.
if we're
Yeah.
lucky,
Okay.
and we have to be picky about what we go see. So
I'm about there. My wife and I,
mhm,
we used to go to movies a lot more. We don't now. We
right.
don't as much now. And mostly it's really COVID.
Yeah, well, that
COVID,
was a
yeah,
big part of
COVID
it, wasn't it?
slowed everything
Yeah,
down. So like
everything.
we used to go a lot more, but I honestly the only time I go to movies now is if it's for like Marvel movies. Marvel movies, I still do it only
Mhm,
because I have friends that have big mouths and I don't like stuff
mhm,
spoiled.
and they're gonna spoil it?
I hate it.
Jerks.
I hate it. I hate it. So I gotta go that day. Uh
Yeah. Now, if I'm in that fandom and I need to know before,
yeah.
yes, I will do that.
So but the rest of
Like
the stuff,
Dune, I'm a big Dune fan,
I
so when,
couldn't.
like, the H
Oh my gosh, that movie was so boring.
What?
I'm sorry.
Okay, now we're gonna debate.
It was boring.
I love
It
Dune.
was
Have
so
you read first of all, you need to read the
I have
book.
not read the book.
Okay,
But I shouldn't have to read the
mistake number
book
1.
to be entertained by the movie. I don't even remember
It's
the
like
original Dune.
it's like Lord of the Rings. Slogging through Lord of the Rings knowing nothing about Lord of the Rings is
I
really
didn't know
difficult. People
anything
are like,
about
"Who
Lord
the
of the
heck?
Rings.
Why do I know? Why do I care? I don't understand. Why didn't they just fly it to Mount Doom? There's an eagle." You know what I mean? Like, people will say that kind
But
of
I've
stuff,
never
and it's
read
like,
the
that's not
books
how it
for
works.
Lord. I didn't read the books for Lord of the Rings until after Lord of the Rings. And I
Okay.
loved Lord of the Rings. But
Dune is a
Dune,
little more
I just
meaty.
didn't
It's
connect. I didn't connect
Dune
with the characters.
Frank Herbert wrote it on drugs. I'm not
Wait, are we
joking. It's a
talking about the old
well-documented
one or the
fact.
new one? Are we talking about the old one or
We're
the new
talking
one?
about the new any of them, but the newest one was fabulous. Like, when that one came out on HBO, I was like, "We're watching it tonight. I don't care if it premieres at 11 PM. We're gonna watch it. It's 2 hours, so what?"
It was
Um,
I was
it is
like
long, but see, the
I
thing
was
is
like,
that
"Is it
that
over yet?"
story is so intertwined. The world building is so precise. There is a culture written for every group that you meet. Culture, history, prophecy, everything. Their weapons have names and cultures. And it's so in depth that they can't fit that all in one movie. So they had to break it into 2. And Paul Muad'Dib's story is so specific They had to give it the time. And they've been
I,
trying to do this movie for years. And it's one of those, like, the special effects had to catch up to the concept.
okay. Maybe I
I
need to
will tell
try and
you
watch
this
it again.
though,
Maybe I'll
the
try and
fight
watch it again.
the fights in the new HBO one are fabulous. 100% approved. They're Belinta walk fights. The actors and stunt people know their stuff.
I had a hard time connecting with the main character.
Yeah.
Uh, it just I don't know.
I
I
mean, he's
just
kind of
don't
a
know.
whiny little bitch in the beginning.
He is the whole
He's supposed
movie.
to be. He's supposed to be. It's character
Yeah, but that
development.
doesn't. I guess, but I to me, like if you're gonna do a whiny character, something, and this is a writing thing for me. I have to like something about them.
He does have redeeming qualities, and
Not
here's
that
the
he's
thing.
redeeming qualities. It's like something that has to like. Okay, if he's whiny, he at least has to be like funny, or
They can't make Paul funny.
but
Um,
that's what I'm saying. Like I
he,
can't connect
he
with.
grows into the Messiah,
Well, that's the other
right?
thing. Like, you know, we I I'm hoping. I've always been hoping. We have a lot of films
Hmm.
that where and I'm gonna be very blunt, where it's like this a white male is the Messiah. The white male is the guy who's going to save the world and everything like that. And frankly, like for me, I just get glassy eyed again because it's the same thing
Well,
over and over again.
it's a trope, and you're right. It
Right.
is used
Yeah.
quite frequently, but it has been very successful. Um,
Well,
Dune, Harry Potter,
I've never watched a Harry Potter movie.
Ender's Game. It's always the
I
outcast,
Yeah.
the young outcast who grows into
Yeah.
like the savior.
Wait,
There's a lot of those.
Was
Say
Ender's
again?
Game the one where, and I'm spoiling it if this is it, it's the one where like the kid is like in charge of like this group of kids and they're like they fight a battle at the end and they think they're playing a game and
They
it's
think they're
not.
playing a video game, but what they're doing is controlling ships with
Right,
actual human fighters in them.
right. And he
So
like
they're
killed a
they're
whole
like
bunch.
general, right? There's
Right,
these genius kids that they put them through all these like battle school and
right.
give them all these
Yeah.
like impossible tasks.
Did I like that one?
The movie itself was only okay. The book is
I
fabulous.
haven't read the book yet.
But
I
again,
haven't.
it's the same story. Now, this kid, when he's in that society, they're only supposed to have one child, and he's a second child. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? So
Okay.
he's an outcast because he's a number two. And he's a genius, and he's unemotional to the point where he could be considered a psychopath, or some of them do. So he's he's borderline iffy. But this is the kid that they take a chance on, and they put him in battle school, and he ends up saving everybody. But they
Right, right.
find out that at the end, I'll spoil it some more. This book has been out
No, I
for
think I saw
decades.
the movie. I think I saw the
Yeah,
movie.
it was Harrison Ford, and I
Yeah,
forget who else.
Viola
Yes,
Davis
Viola
was in it.
Davis is in
Yeah,
it. I
okay.
forget who the kid was kind of famous too, but I forget who they had. But in the end, they find out that they are the aggressors,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's this
I remember that now. I
race
think I
of
liked it.
insects that they're fighting, and the humans are the aggressors trying to take over.
I
Um,
think I liked it.
the
I
movie was only okay.
I can't
I
remember.
just use that because it's part of the same trope. It's this
Right.
outcast kid, Harry Potter, orphan, raised with the muggles,
Yeah, I
kind of
can't.
an
I can't do
outcast.
Harry Potter. I tried the first episode, the first one, and I fell asleep. I remember it because it was
Yeah.
like Thanksgiving. I think it was like Thanksgiving, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna sit here and watch this." And
Yep.
I was like, "Oh!" When I
I
woke
I
up,
love Harry
when I
Potter.
woke up, it
I'm
was
in that
snowing.
fandom for sure.
I remember that when I woke up in the movie, it was snowing, and I was
Nah,
like, "Did I
Christmas.
what? Yeah, like what movie?" But yeah, So what are you reading now?
What am I reading
What
right
comics are
now?
you reading right now besides East of West?
Well, I read a lot of indie because that's what I
Okay.
do. I just backed this friend of mine does this series called Treble, The Rhythm Within.
Mm,
So I'm really interested in that one. Um it's a superhero based story, but it's like it's Washington D.C. and this mad scientist poisons the water, and people with O negative type blood get these mutations. And for this guy, when he listens to music, he can absorb sound waves and he mutates. He gets skills based off of the type of music that he's listening to.
Oh,
Um,
that's
so there's
awesome.
eight issues of that I got the catch up tier, and that's by Dre Daniels, and it's called Treble the Rhythm Within, and that's on
Nice.
Indiegogo right now. So I got
Okay.
that one. I always back Worthy Chaos. That's another great series. Carissa Grant releases an issue like every other month because she's a beast.
I know we talked about that in
Mhm,
depth. It's absurd. I was like, I
mhm.
can't imagine. I can't even believe like that. That's just crazy to me.
I'm looking forward to reading actually John Westhoff's comic Bulletproof Chicken. I got the first
Okay.
one issue of that, so I'm waiting on that. But I have just like a whole bin full of I love reading horror comics. The scariest comic I think that I've read was Witches, Wytches. Do you
Oh,
remember that one?
Scott Snyder.
Yeah, it was a limited run,
I
and I
never
was
got to read it though.
oh terrifying.
Okay.
I
All
like
right.
that one. I like Nail Biter. That one I think got a
Mm.
revamp. I haven't caught the revamp. Something's Killing the Children, of course.
I just
Great
started reading
series.
that.
Great
I
series.
just started reading that.
But
What
I'm
is
not
this?
really reading too much right now. I've been too busy. I was also reading a book about the history of the cartoon series in the 90s, the X-Men, the couple that wrote and directed that cartoon run in the 90s. They're actually still alive. They're in Glendale, California. So I was
You,
reading the
sh-
history of that. I just
you should
started that
try
book.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia?
Yes, by Rodney Barnes. So it's basically if vampires took over Philadelphia,
Ah.
and they were led by who is it? Washington? Is it Washington?
Shut up.
Who's yeah? Yeah, it's. I don't think it's Washington. I can't remember. Hold on, Alexa, stop.
um,
Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Doesn't listen.
what was the author's name?
Rodney Barnes. Um, yeah, it's a what do you call it? There's a president who's actually a vampire who's in charge.
That's
Yes,
funny.
it's really cool. I am 3 trades in. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm trying to keep up. I'm just like you. I have a lot
I just have a lot going
indie
on.
books. Well, no, a lot of indie books to catch
Oh,
up.
yeah, I mean, like
I do so many Kickstarters.
I do
Um,
too.
yeah, I'm actually gonna do. I've decided I'm going to do a show, uh, and just review books that I've gotten on Kickstarter. Like
Too.
that's what is that?
This is called Terminus. It's a sci-fi. It's about the universe is collapsing and there's like seven, I think there's seven species of of not humans, like species of aliens. Humans are one of them.
Mm,
And we're all on one ship and we're trying to go past where the expansion is to see what else is out there because everything is collapsing. Really
nice.
interesting. This was the first issue. Highly recommend that.
So many books out there.
Avalon. Avalon is I love zombies. Mine's zombies. So this is like another zombie
Not
series.
surprising.
Avalon. Right. Surprise, surprise. Right. I have all of theirs. Vicky Sticks. I love Vicky Sticks.
Oh,
She's kind of like a female version of Frankenstein, and she's a monster hunter. I
I
could
think I
totally
heard of that.
cosplay. Oh, it's JD Rosario.
Now, are you on the East Coast, the Midwest, or the West Coast?
I'm in Texas, so
Um,
I'm in the South. But
do
I
you,
know a lot of people just from being podcaster and being on
right.
a lot of podcasters.
Do you
Do you have a
go to a
link?
lot of Comic Cons? Do you do a lot of Comic
Right
Cons?
now I'm going to mostly local, like Texas area, and I try to hit like all the LCSs in my area, just because until you have a catalog to put on your table, it's hard to make your table feedback plus a hotel room plus travel, right? So
Yeah.
if you just can drive for the day and you don't have to pay a hotel room for 2 nights, it's a lot easier to make your money back. So I stay
Right.
mostly local right now, but eventually that will change. Probably this coming year, 2024.
It seems
I don't
like
know.
everybody's gonna, get out there back in the cons. It seems like everybody was kind
Hmm.
of hesitant
Yeah.
after COVID, and now everyone's like, okay, we can definitely do this. Like we can get out there.
Well, and then there was New York Comic Con this year, and everybody got COVID. So
I was there and I didn't get it.
you didn't get it,
Well,
dude.
I
Everybody
wasn't
was a
there the
super
whole
spreader.
weekend. I wasn't there the whole weekend, but I understand how you absolutely could get it. It
Mhm.
was
And con crud.
insane. It was so many people.
So many people.
Like I was just, I was overwhelmed, and I don't care about the many people there, but I
Mhm.
mean, it was that many people,
Yeah.
and I didn't even get to walk around the top. It's like two floors. Like the first floor is you know big spectacle, and then there's Artist Alley,
Mhm.
and I spent most of my time in Artist Alley because I knew so many people down there. I'm networking and talking and everything. I was barely upstairs,
Mhm.
barely. But yeah, I did see that a lot. Bless you.
Mhm.
I saw a lot of people got COVID. And
Yeah.
I
Dude, it was gross.
but
Oh, I wonder
that's always tough. What I've learned
Mm.
is not to what is
Sorry,
that?
just showing. This one's called The Crying Boy.
Okay.
This one's creepy. It's I love horror comics. So
Me
the
too.
this single mom and her son move into this apartment in New York, and there is a painting of this boy in the apartment, and it's a crying boy, but the painting is haunted, and it starts haunting her kids specifically. So
Oof.
kind of like Insidious,
Hmm,
but
hmm.
the painting, right?
Okay.
And then this one is Red Redemption. This is Austin St. John's comic.
Okay.
I got to meet him in Charter Comics, Pastime Comics, excuse me, at their store. And I nerded out and forgot my name for a second. That was funny.
All right. So we actually got to wrap up.
Oh, we're done. Okay,
Yeah,
I
we
was
got
gonna
to
show off
wrap
my
up.
entire
I
collection.
know you're gonna go through the whole thing.
I'll stop now.
That's okay. Do you want to tell anybody what's coming out? Where you're gonna be?
Sure.
Push whatever it is. This is the time.
Oh, let's see. Well, we're working on issue number 4 right now. Again, our deadline is January is probably when we will ship. We're probably going to be done with art in December, but with ship times in the holidays, we just wanted to make sure
Right.
everything is to everybody in a timely fashion. So that's why we said January. Um, After that, we'll be doing a trade paperback. Again, you're going to see the color pages. You're going to see more journal pages from Jude St. Clair and his journey. So you might get a map. You'll probably get part of the script will be in there, and of course all the variant covers. So that'll be early next year. We'll be kickstartering for the print job. That's all that's left there. If you go to my webpage, it's www.pathofapalewriter.com. I usually keep it pretty updated. So you can see all the stuff. You can see our previous Kickstarters. You can see all of the short films and riddles that we build into the comic because we have a fan interactive experience. You can also purchase all back issues, including our Choose Your Own Adventure book. All of our merch is available there. All the T-shirts, the koozies, the hats, the keychains, all of the good stuff is there. Um, yeah, and follow me on socials. I have 2 shows that I podcast. So I host the Tuesday Morning Brew on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a 2-hour show, so long format where I interview anybody and everybody. We do panel shows at times. I smash pumpkins. I dress up as Pikachu and light things on fire. I do shenanigans.
Okay.
So that's the Tuesday Morning Brew. On Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I host the Any One World Showcase. I have a wonderful distributor over in the UK, ASAP Imagination. Go check out their website, asapimagination.com. So they have their own, kind of like how Marvel has their own world
Hmm.
is ASAP. And then they have another section that's called Any One World, where it's like myself and a ton of other indies like Carissa Grant and Richard Dury, Morgan Quaid. There's a ton of people in Any One World, and it's not just comics. They have short films, they have novelists, they have all sorts of cool stuff in there. So if you're any
Awesome.
kind of indie, go check them out.
Okay.
But I host the podcast on Wednesdays where I interview the people from Any One World and kind of give them a spotlight every week. So play
Okay.
D&D on Fridays on the Madness Comic Network, where I'm a pirate cleric who butchers everyone's name. It's hilarious. I'm just all over the place. So Facebook,
Awesome.
the best place to be is actually in our Facebook group called Path of the Pale Rider, because that's where we like do our shenanigans and play our games and do the polls and get the behind the scenes. That group gets it first. And then
Okay.
there's we have a Twitter at Path Pale Rider. There's an Instagram at Path of the Pale Rider with an underscore between all the words. I have a TikTok, same thing. I'm on Threads. I'm just about everywhere. I'm on YouTube
That's all
at
right.
Laurie Calcaterra 360.
Awesome.
That is all.
Awesome. So yes, I want to thank Laurie
You're like, shut up, lady.
Calcaterra. No, I don't want to thank you. I was letting you get it all out. We gotta have all these socials nowadays anyway. So
It's so hard, man,
there's
to
nothing you
manage
can
them
do
all.
about it. So yes, so thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. This was fun. Definitely can
you.
have you back on. Just let us know if you
Yeah.
got some projects coming up. Maybe I'll even try and get on your show so I can see
Yeah,
some of the shenanigans.
absolutely.
I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. As always, you can check my stuff out at visuallystoked.com. Check my comics out. That sounded terrible. At visuallystoked.com. Or you can follow me on Facebook at Visually Stoked Media and at Stoked Podcast, as well as Instagram at Visually Stoked and at Ali Stokes. That's Jamari. And then, of course, you can find me, Javon Stokes. You can find my name. And please follow everything. Follow, share everything. Thank you for coming on and have a great weekend. Everybody have a great weekend. Come see me, Manchester Comics and Collectibles Con. I have the info up tomorrow. And hey, go watch the Marvels. I know Laurie's not going, but everybody else go. If we make listen, we keep putting in money in these, these gentlemen's pockets, they will keep making these movies that we like. That's how I look at it. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care. Be safe. Thank you for stopping by. Stoked Podcast, Creative Talk with Creative People. Peace.